Hi there and thanks for watching. So in this little drive-by video I'm going to talk about a couple of issues for your children who do guitar lessons with me. And what we're talking about here is a couple of key learning issues that I just want to bring to your attention, so that you're able to understand what's happening in lessons and understand what's happening when your child is doing their guitar homework. So even though we talk about guitar playing, and yes, we all want to play, there is some homework involved, and it's probably, it's a really important part of the learning process. Anyway, the two main learning processes that are involved is one, teaching the brain. Okay, the brain's got to learn the information, and then secondly, teaching your motor system, which is your muscles, and we'll just talk about it as the body. So you got to teach your mind, then your mind teaches your body, and then your body, when your body is learnt it, then your body practices and trains itself to bring it up to speed from really low tempo up to performance tempo. So there are three stages there. There's the mental stage, there's the physical stage, the body inputting stage, and then there's the body outputting stage. And the body outputting stage is what we loosely refer to as practice. And we'll come back and talk about that in a moment. So, brain, motor system, practice. Now there are three different kinds of learning involved there. The first stage, the mental stage, is actually, well, as you know, learning is training the brain, and the most effective way to learn is when the way we remember most stuff is when we use more ways. The more ways we can put the information into the brain, the more ways we can remember. So what this means is that, let's take the case of learning 4 notes. Okay, so we're going to learn 4 notes. We're going to learn what they look like. Okay, so that's the visual aspect. We're going to learn what they feel like, and that's really the writing aspect, whether we're writing it on paper or in the air, whether we're writing with our hands or with our legs, or a combination of both, our elbows or head or whatever. And then there's the kinesthetic aspect, which is the feeling of the notes on your fingertips on the fingerboard, right? And these are all in your brain. So let's take the kinesthetic. We want to get that information into the brain, and what we're doing here is just training the brain. And we're training the brain to get a really good, clear picture of those 4 notes that we need to learn and the main things that are involved. So the ideal way to get in there is through vision, hearing, feelings, and then there's also a couple other modalities called taste, and the other one called audio digital. And the audio digital means just audio, just plain verbal descriptions. So we can keep it that simple for the time being. Okay, so now the brain has got this picture, and it's very clear that it's got the correct information, and it's correctly recorded, and it's sitting there in the brain. Now that the brain knows what to do, the next thing to do is to teach the body and the muscles how to perform these 4 notes. And so there's a number of stages that go with that. One is first we're going to learn to show the fingers where the notes are on the fingerboard, show the fingers which finger plays them, and show the fingers what order each finger plays each note in. And depending on the skill of the person, they can be quite a long job, or it could be quite a short job. So for someone who hasn't played at all, that's quite a long job, because there's a lot of things to get into place. For someone who's been playing for a while, that may be quite a short job. Okay, so we get those into place, and then there's a matter of chunk size. Okay, what size chunks your child needs to learn the information in. So for some things, if there's 4 notes, I might get them to learn them 1 at a time, or I might get them to learn 2 at a time, or I might get them to learn 4 at a time. So any of those things are possible, but generally I'll go for short, 2 plus 2, because we really want to get these things into the muscles. Now at this stage, a lot of that training is non-tempo, right? There's no tempo and it's really, really slow, and what we're trying to do is just teach the muscles what they have to do. And there's an issue that arises here, is that if we look at it this way, right, a brain can take in information through the speed of light. That's 64 million miles per second, I think that number is. But if I got out of this car now and ran around the block as fast as I could, the most I could get out of my body is 15k an hour, which is probably really exaggerating. It's probably more like 8 or 10k an hour, or even 7 or 5, right? The main point being is that my brain can move a lot faster than my body when it's learning information. So the downside is the body can go slower. It's true when we're learning. We need to take the biggest challenge for students is to realize that their brain is training a body. So a 64 million miles per second unit is training a 15k per hour system. Can you see how those two systems can get out of whack if the brain is expecting the body to learn it as fast as the brain can do? And yet this is a really, really common expectation. And so at the point of the brain training the body, the main thing that people need to learn is slowing their brain down to the speed of the body so that the body can get it. Okay. So the point of putting these 4 notes under the fingers is a slow process, a slow deliberate process, because you're asking the slower system to learn something at their speed, and so we're going to slow down. Now, the plus about the brain is it can learn stuff really fast. The minus about the brain is it can forget stuff really fast. Conversely, the minus about the body is that it's slow to learn. But the big plus about the body is it's really slow to forget. So what this means is that if the body gets the right information and performs the right information, it's going to take ages for it to forget. Okay, you got it there for ages. So it's a matter of garbage in, garbage out. You give your body good information, it's going to give you good information back. So that process of teaching the body to play these 4 notes is anything like about a 7-stage process, and I won't take you through those steps at the moment, but just to highlight that. And the mental one was about a 7-stage process also. So now we've shifted that information from the brain picture, the mental picture, and it's now part of, and the body's proven it can do it. It's proved 2 or 3 times that it can play it accurately and correctly. So the next thing to do is to let the body train itself to play it faster. So let's see if I can find a park here. VidCon, Southern Studios. Okay. So now the brain knows the information. The next thing is for it to train itself to do it really slowly. And let's just think about that for a second. And we're really now in the realm of brushing teeth, okay? And so once your body has brushed its teeth once, it can do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. So at the point that something is information in your muscle system, you're now at repetition time. Okay, and the body's got this. Now, just as we don't need to think when we're brushing teeth or tying shoelaces, similarly we don't need to think when we're practicing guitar when we're building something up to speed. We are in repetition territory, and we are in physical repetition territory, and we're in it so that only the body needs to work. Now, key part about this, and I'll just repeat slightly, it's the body's job now to move those 4 notes from, say, 60 beats a minute to 240 beats a minute very gradually. Now, how we do that is a whole video onto itself, but the main point I want to make here is that at this point, when the body is training itself to bring some action up to speed, it's entirely up to the body. The brain has nothing to do with it anymore. If the body has got the correct information, then the body will do the job and the brain doesn't need to be there. What does this mean from a learning point of view? Well, it means from a learning point of view that your child can practice their guitar while they're watching TV. They can, now let's talk about this, be a bit more careful here. They can program, they can practice bringing their performance up to speed, watching TV, walking down the road, talking to people. The key part about this process is it's got nothing to do with the brain, and we don't want the brain involved at all, because we've now got the 64 million miles per second thing sitting around watching a body, a 15k an hour body, do something. To the mind, that's like watching paint dry, and it's just not going to happen. So we don't want the mind involved at all at that stage. It's strictly physical, just like walking. It needs to be an automatic stage. And so from a parent's point of view, you need to be aware of these 3 different stages of learning and the different demands. So let's just review this. At the first stage, the mental stage, the body is not involved. It's getting the clear mental picture, because this is the picture that's going to be recalled whenever it's needed to either correct something or refine something, or 3 months, 6 months down the road even remember something. Okay, so the name of this game is to get some clear information in the brain. So that's all the mind, got nothing to do with the body, all mental processes. Second thing is the mind teaching the body, and this is really the critical part, getting this conversation together. Then once the body has learnt from the mind and confirmed that it's got these instructions, then the mind goes away and is essentially a remote monitor, while the body then gets on with the job of bringing something up to speed. Now that, depending on the piece, that generally takes 21 days as the conventional to get something up to speed. So the body does something for 21 days. It might only be 2 minutes a day, a minute a day, or whatever the story may be. At that point, it's habitual, it's physical habit forming, and that's got nothing to do with the brain. And so I just wanted to raise these 3 issues with you, because they're they're essential part of my practice. They're essential part of my music education, how I learned, and how I learned to learn stuff fast, and how I learned the stuff from professional guitar players and professional teachers, session players, and so on. So I could give you the whole pedagogy justification for it, but the basic point is it works. It works over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's the skill that I want your child to have during their time with me, and it's a skill that I want your child to learn how to master. So I hope this has been helpful. In the next video, I'll be talking in a little bit more detail about these learning processes. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.